Okay, hi everyone. This is Nicole Jenkins. I am going to just give a brief training on how we are doing SIMUCASE this semester. So I'm going to start with sharing my screen. So a few things that I'm going to go through and show you and a few forms that we use. All right, I'm going to share my desktop. So the first thing I want to show you is kind of go over the expectations a little bit just so you guys have a better idea of what it would look like. So what we do is a debrief rotation schedule. And you guys can kind of work it out how you think is appropriate. And so we follow a guideline called FIRE, which stands for facts, interpretation, reflection, and expansion. And so each student is going to be in a group. We'll usually have groups of 3, just depending on how many students you have, but you're going to group them of students of no more than 3 or 4 students. And in that group, each week we'll do a different area. So your first group, group A, may do facts and interpretation, B would do a reflection, and C would do expansion that week during your debrief meeting. Then the next week, they're going to rotate. So A would do reflection, B would do expansion, C would take care of facts and interpretation. And so you're going to do that every week so that each student has an opportunity to display their skills in each area. So you will set up a weekly debrief link that they will all go to. This is our schedule, just so the students know when they're going to have their debrief meetings. We always do it on a certain day at a certain time in a group. And then we give them instructions so they can complete it either in assessment mode or learning mode or both, depending on what you want to do. For the summer, I would suggest only doing one of those modes, but depending on where the students are in their semester. The ones that are fairly new, we usually do learning mode with them and assessment mode. And then if they're further along, then we move towards assessment mode only. Their simulations, so their questions must be completed 24 hours prior to your scheduled debrief. So if your meeting's at Tuesday at 11, their questions and everything needs to be completed by Monday at 11 a.m. They also need to make sure they complete it during the duration of the recommended time of SIMUCASE. So if the case is 90 minutes, they should be spending at least 90 minutes to complete the entire case. And to get hours, they must complete it with 90% or a higher performance rate. So we always go back and check those when they're finished before we have their debrief meetings, because they don't attend the meetings if they have not made a 90% or higher. And so the students are expected to participate by presenting on their simulations. We do a combination of things, demonstrations, role play. They might find a research article that relates to it. They may come up with a prevention activity or do some type of SOAP note, but you as a supervisor will come up with what activity that they need to complete to demonstrate their knowledge beyond the case. And we always follow Bloom's taxonomy to help them analyze the case. So that helps them with the process of learning. And here at the bottom, you guys get a copy of this well, just to help you. The FIRE that I mentioned, the facts, interpretation, reflection, and expansion. So it talks about what each area looks at and some examples of what the students can do to demonstrate their knowledge. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, there's a few different checklists that we use. So we have a rubric worksheet checklist that we use every week. So every week when you're working with your students during their debrief meeting and they're demonstrating their knowledge, you'll use this worksheet to check where they are. So either they're exceptional, they're able to relate and apply the information independently, they proactively contribute relevant comments to the area, they either meet expectations, they're able to answer the questions appropriately and apply at least 2 relevant contributions, developing or below, or inadequate where they're unable to provide any information at all. And so you'll circle which group you're working with. I put their names across here, which case we're working on and the date. And then I just put checks and their names in the boxes because some may be performing at different levels in that same group. So you'll just check them by their group. So you should have one sheet for each group with their names on there and the checks. So if they're working on facts, you'll check all your boxes for facts and their names, or interpretation or reflection and expansion. And depending on how you want to do it, this semester we're doing facts and interpretation together, and we separated reflection and expansion. So you can make those changes on your form. So this is used every week for every debrief meeting, and that just helps you monitor their progress so that when you get to midterm and final, you're going to use this checklist, and this one is actually through SIMUcase. And so this one is where you'll check their knowledge individually, and you'll put their name, what area, what SIMUcase that you have worked on. You use your worksheets to kind of guide you through the process, and then you'll check to see where they are at every area, if they need a maximum, moderate, or minimum queuing, and the question level and not analysis on facts, interpretation, reflection, and expansion. And then there's another section, and then you'll give them their score there. You don't have to use that score if you don't want. That just helps you just gauge where they are. And then you're going to measure them in their participation and their engagement. And so under here, it'll tell you what you're looking for, so you know which boxes to check. And that's for each student. And then you can put any comments that you want there. And that's for midterm and final. And so I mentioned a worksheet that we would be using as well, that we've come up with this semester. And this is for your weekly assignments. So when you send them what they need to do for their SIMUcase, for their debrief, this is what you'll send them. This is a template that you can just type in. So if you are working on Fiona and you have group A and they might be doing reflection, then you're just going to type reflection and whatever their project is, and then you can give them resources. So if it's ASHA fluency, or if it's the stutteringfoundation.org, you can cut and paste those links here for them to help them through the process. Or if you don't want to give them resources, you don't have to, depending on where they are, the students, depending on where they are as far as their program. And so you'll send them this every week in their email. And then it also has for you, so you have a copy of who is doing what. Okay, Ms. Hebb, have I missed anything?
I believe you have covered every component as far as I know there. Looks good.
Oh, thank you. And I forgot the projects. So whatever that you have them do are due the day of their debrief meeting. So if your debrief meeting is at 11 on Tuesday, they should have had that project emailed to you, or their questions or whatever they're supposed to have emailed to you by the start of your debrief meeting. Their questions that they do in assessment and learning mode is due 24 hours before. So that would be Monday. So their questions are Monday. Their project is that very next day of whatever that debrief meeting day is.
Okay, so I am going to speak with you all on, this is Marcia Hebb, by the way, but I'm going to speak with you all on Clinic Notes. I know we've used it since about 2020, but as we have become more comfortable with it and as technology has continued to Navigator, whatever, we are going to, we've added in some new features that we're using. So just wanted to kind of share those things with you to make the process more efficient. So let me share my screen here, and I'm going to try my best not to be HIPAA compliant. So I will be navigating through the screen. I may take my screen down just so that I can avoid from displaying any clients' names, okay? So looking here, of course, you have to get consent forms at the beginning before you begin therapy. So what we've done here is now we have made it where it's electronic, where parents can actually complete the consent forms through our patient portal using Clinic Note, okay? But before you do that, you have to make sure that you have your client or your parent in Clinic Notes. They have to have an account there. So how do you do that, okay? So what you need to do is make sure if you go under Edit Info, right here. Of course, this is where you're going to put your client's name, identifying information, male, female, birth date, all of that information, telephone number, address. You need all of that information in Clinic Notes, okay? Down here, you'll see an area where you can put the email address of the parent. Okay, so of course, if there's more than one parent or two parents or whatnot, you can put an additional email address there as well. But you must have the email address in there in order for that patient or parent to be able to receive any information from you, where they're able to upload information. Their email address has to be inputted, okay? Once that happens, you're going to see those email addresses appear right down here in bold, okay? So of course, these are just examples here. I have Nicole as the mama and me, okay? So again, you're going to put that information here and click, okay? Once you do that, you'll see where it says Patient Portal Access, okay? You have to click those buttons in order for the patient to have access to the portal once the email addresses have been entered in, all right? So once you have done that, you're gonna come down here and you're going to save it, okay? So identifying information, email addresses must be in there in order for you to have access to the patient portal and for the patient to have access to the patient portal. Once you have set that up, you're gonna go to the portal button, which is here, okay? So right up here, you can see that there's email addresses here, okay? You are going to send, of course you can resend here because we've already had this established, but you'll click a button here that tells you to send that email or that account information to that parent and it will go to their email address, okay? So that information will go straight to they'll receive like a little invitation. And I'll show you what that looks like from the patient standpoint, okay, when they receive that. So let me do that really quickly. I'm gonna stop my share so I can show you what that looks like, okay? Give me 1 second to pull that information. Nicole, if you have it close by as well, the little handout that I sent, let me see here. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's see. If Nicole, if you can try to see if you can find that for me, and I'm going to go ahead and move forward. But what it is, I want you guys to kind of see from the patient standpoint, you can send this PDF document to the parent so they can see the instructions on how to set it up once they get in, okay? So we'll send that to you all as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. To the next set, okay? So again, you're gonna click that button, you're gonna send it to the parents, they're gonna get an email that says that, set up your Clinic Note account from there, okay? Once that happens, they set up their information, they're in there, okay? Now, as far as your consent forms, right here, we have fillable forms. Here are our consent forms right down through here. We have the audio, video, photograph release form, authorization to release information, consent forms for testing, therapy, and research, and then informed consent, treatment, and outcomes research form, okay? At this point, what you're going to do is you're going to share it to their portal, okay? So for example, we're in the test clients portal. So if I want to share the audio photo release, I'll click share to portal. Are you sure you want to share this form? Yes. Okay. See how it appears right down here? Okay. So I'm going to share all of these forms because I want this parent to complete all of these consent forms. Okay. All right. So you can see they are now appearing right here under incomplete forms. They have not been completed. Once the parent fills out this information, okay, these forms, it's going to appear down here under portal files. There's nothing there right now because this is a test client, but it says no patient portals were found. But once it does, once they complete it, they're going to list right down here to let you know that.
And I found it. I can share it. I tried to
Okay.
email it, but it didn't email to you. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. So this here is a PDF document, okay, that you can send to the parent so they will know kind of what to expect. So if you look up here, number one, it says email notification. That's what it's going to look like when they receive it. Clinic note, patient portal account creation. They're going to open that email. They're going to get a link that's similar to this. They'll need to click on that link. Once they click on that link, they're going to get this dialog box number 3, where they're going to create that account, their username and their password. Once they get into that account, then they'll be able to see, they'll have a notification that tells them there's something in their patient portal, which will be those consent forms, and they'll need to complete those. Once they complete those, then that's where you will see that come on your end as completed right down here, okay? And then also, of course, these completed forms are also going to appear under the client's file. So let me show you that. Okay. Because this is a test client, I won't be able to necessarily show you exactly, but normally when those consent forms come in, they're going to fall down here somewhere. Okay. But we do have a consent folder tab. So you can drag, it will allow you to drag and pull them into the consent folder tab. Okay. So that's pretty much the consent. So key is you got to get the patient or the parent set up in Clinic Note first with that email address. And you have to make sure that you have inputted that information into Clinic Note. Once that happens, they're in there, they fill out those patient portal forms, you're going to get that information sent to you. On the main page, it also says portal activity. And there's also like a little notification that lets you know something's in there. That number kind of changes because you'll know that something has been submitted as well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go out of here. Okay. And I'm going to stop my share because I want to avoid from sharing other people's information. So give me 1 second. Okay. All right. Now let me share my screen. Oh no, wait a minute. Try that again. Let me navigate to a different page. There we go. Okay, so the next part is scheduling, okay? So we are now scheduling all of our clients in Clinic Note. We also have the shared drive as well in the clinic. We also have the scheduler here in Clinic Note. The reason why this is very important that you schedule your clients is because we are also using it for attendance keeping, okay? So in times past, I know we used a worksheet where you would actually indicate, the days they were there for evaluations and so forth. But now you're going to put it in here. Okay. So this is what it looks like, but you have to schedule them first. Okay. So let's take, for example, we're going to schedule our test client for a 10 o'clock appointment. Okay. On Saturday. And of course, here you're going to put the event type. So of course it will be treatment or evaluation. Let's just go ahead with treatment. The room number, if it applies, you'll put the room number, you'll indicate that. And I know for the lab clinic, the room numbers are 5 through 8. So you can indicate that. Not necessary here, but if you need to, it's okay. And then here, the therapist. Okay, so let's say we're going to use this student here, Rena. And then, of course, we would put her client's information here. Okay, so let's say it's Rena. And she's the student, okay? And Naturally, because Rena has already been assigned to John Doe, when I get ready to click here on the patient's name, John Doe is going to appear here. Okay, and I can click on John Doe's name. All right. So once Rena and her clients are there, okay, you're going to come down here. And let's say this client comes every Saturday. Okay. So every Saturday, this client comes here. He comes from 10, let's say, to 11. So I'm going to change my time over here to 11 o'clock. Okay. Now, clinic ends, let's say it ends in July. I'm going to put July 21st. Okay. Once I've done that, I can click save. Okay. So there's the appointment for Rena and her client. I don't have anything there now because I don't have one, right? But it's going to appear. Okay, so Rena's client came Saturday. He came to therapy. I need to put his attendance in there. Simply click on the box, go to edit current occurrence, not edit the series because it's going to put him present for to July, right? So you want to do the current occurrence. You're going to click there. And then I'm going to go up to attendance and I'm going to click attended, cancel by client, cancel by therapist, or no show. Okay. So we're going to click attended. Okay. And I'm going to save it there. Okay. Normally there's like a little green button to let you know, dot, to let you know the client has attended that session. Let's check it again. Maybe I didn't save it. Okay. I don't know why it's not doing it now, but maybe because it's a test client, possibly, but normally that's what happens, okay? So you're going to click whether the client attended or whatever. It also has a description button. So let's say the client, mom was running late. Sometimes I'll put like a little blur up here, mom was running late or they didn't attend for whatever reason. I'll put like a reason there just in case I need to come back and look at it, okay? But normally in times, typically, and Nicole, you probably agree with me on that, there's usually a green dot that appears to let you know. And if it was canceled, I think it may be like a gray button. If they didn't show, it's like a black dot that will appear on that visit. Okay. Again, it could be because I am using a test client. Okay. Now, very important, because what happens is at the end of the semester, after we've done all of our attendance, versus, when you're doing your progress report and you're trying to determine how many sessions were attended, instead of going back through progress reports and counting up and trying to figure that out to make sure that your numbers are not off, you can go down here to reporting, okay, and go to basic reporting, okay, and it will let you know. Of course, this doesn't really, let me go back again, reporting, okay, and this is our test client, right? So I don't have all the information, but if you go to reporting, generate a report, it's going to show all the sessions attended. It's going to have the number of days that, there's no shows, all of that. So you will have that information, okay? So let's just put our little test client here. I don't know if it's going to come up though. Oh, may not come up because he's a test client, okay? I'm trying my best not to show other people's names, but you'll go find that client's name. So if it's Joe, put in Joe, and then it's going to show all the sessions he attended under there, okay? Hope that makes sense there. All right, so that is the scheduling piece. So we've done consent forms, very important at the front end. Scheduling, very important at the front end. Schedule all your clients in there. Now you may be asking, how in the world do we get to, how do I attach my students with that client? Okay, so let me show you where you're going to go with that to make sure that student's name is attached. I'm going to stop my share. All right. All right, so let me go back to our test client and let me show you where we go here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. All right. So if you look under here, under edit info on this side over here, okay, and I'm scrolling all the way down, you can see there's every student clinician that's in our clinic in here, okay? All right. All right, so make sure, of course, you put yourself as the primary supervisor. Make sure that's reflecting you, okay? Because someone else might have had him, so you'll need to make that change if necessary. All right, I'll just put my name for now. So you'll scroll down here, and let's say I'm under Joe or my test client, and now this semester, Daisy has this client. So I have to click Daisy's name so that when Daisy comes in, Daisy can have access to this patient, okay? So make sure you do that under that patient's file folder, under edit info, come all the way down and click the student clinician's names, or if it's more than one, so when they come in, they have access to that patient. And then that's gonna populate into that scheduler. So when you're putting that client's name or you're putting that student, it will automatically be attached, and so that you can schedule that client, okay? So that's pretty much the setup for scheduling with Clinic Notes, all right? So I'm gonna move out of here. Okay, so let's just kind of browse through our folders here, okay? So under here, you have the Notes tab. I'm just gonna click View Notes, okay? So under here, we have folders, and I've actually created a Laugh Clinic folder. The rest of these are under kind of like a traditional, so that's kind of more the traditional clinic, but here's a Laugh Clinic folder here. So when they are creating like their baseline soap notes and things like that, and I can show you that in just a second, it's going to appear under here, and you can drag into your Laugh Clinic folder. All their information is underneath that Laugh Clinic folder, okay? So let me get out of here. So again, that's under notes. And typically that's where your baseline soap note falls. And I'll show you that, what that looks like. Let me stop so I can show you where that is, okay? So let me stop my share here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I am going to go to generate a report, okay? I'm not sharing my screen because it's going to show clients' names, but when you go to that main dashboard in red, it's going to say generate a report, okay? So that's where you want to click, okay? So let me share my screen now. And let me see. Uh-oh, there we go. Oh, really? Okay, give me a second. Yeah, I'm trying my best. Okay. All right, now let me share it. Okay, so under generate a report, right? You're going to generate a report. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go down here to report template. And there's all of our reports in the clinic. All the ones that we use are right here. Okay, so I mentioned that baseline soap note form that we use, which is right here. So let me just generate it. Okay, it looks like this. You're probably familiar with it, I'm not sure. But this is what it looks like. And this is the template that we use before treatment goals have been approved, okay? So it's just a regular old Word document PDF. This is where you're going to go in here, and this is where you're going to use, okay? Until you approve their treatment goals, all right? So earlier I mentioned that reports tab. This is where that will fall once it's completed. It will fall under that folder, okay? So of course you have these different features up here. While I'm on forms, I might as well just stay here. You have different features here where you can provide feedback to your student. Okay, so if I click on hide history or comments, and I click on the comment button there, this is where I can provide feedback. This is where I can say, be more specific, or, whatever it is that you're trying to provide feedback on. Completed by supervisor. Okay. Oh, let me put this here. So you may put revision 1 or something like that. Okay. Once that happens, that feedback is constantly going to be held right here and reported. It's documented. The time, the date that you looked at it, is all there. And how did you get that comment? You just click on this button, come over here, and you'll put it there. You can also come into the body of the report and you can highlight and right click and put comment, and it will link to specifically what it is that you're commenting about. Okay, you can do that as well. And of course, you can always just come in and do regular old typing or whatever it is you want to say. But I would probably suggest, so that you can keep a running record and documentation, if there's anything that you want to comment about, highlight over it, right click, comment, and it will link it to that comment. Okay, I think that's probably your best bet. And if you want to keep up with the number of revisions, you can also put revision 1, revision 2. I know that's something Ms. Jenkins implemented. I think it's a great thing, and that can keep up with the number of times that you're revising and so forth. Okay. I always say with Clinic Note, it's really good about keeping that documentation. So there's no questioning, did he? No, it's right there, the date and times. It also lets the viewer know when you looked in there and when you viewed the report and when the student reviewed the report. And of course, down here, you assign. This one doesn't have the signature for the student because this is a test client. But let's say I was going to sign that here. I can go in here and it'll put my signature there. Okay, but always let your student sign first, because if you sign first, it's going to lock that document down. Okay, so let them sign first, and then once you've approved it, then you sign it. Okay, so that's the baseline SOAP note that is used there. All right, let me stop this share. Okay, and let's talk about some more of the forms here. All right, so let me go to generate a report again. I know all these forms are familiar with you all, so I'm going to just kind of briefly go through these. I just want you to see where these are again, just so you'll be aware. Okay, so generate a report down here. Here's a list of all of them. The only ones that we really use, to be honest with you, are the progress reports, the lesson plan templates, the treatment plan template. If there's a diagnostic evaluation plan template, it's there. The baseline SOAP note, they'll need to use that. Case staffing summary, that's there as well. Those are the main ones that are being used. A discharge report, that may not necessarily apply for the summer, but that's if a client stops abruptly or they're discharged because they met their goals, then we create a discharge report as well, and that template is there as well. Okay,
And
but
then
the
the
main one,
diagnostic report, I think.
yes, thank you, and the diagnostic report. Yes, okay. So that's where you're gonna go. You're gonna generate a report. That's where your student will go. And then their client's name will appear, and then they would generate that report there, okay? And you can kind of see the dashboard through here, the different modules. So view client list, generate a report, view facility file. So in there, like attendance forms, or just, you may not even need that button there. And then there, right here, you see that number 8, that is actually portal activity. So underneath there, that's where, like, let's say your client completed those consent forms, that number will let you know some type of activity has occurred, like a notification to let you know. And then also, of course, you can just go back to the client's file and you'll be able to see if they completed it or their portal or whatever. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our file folders again. All righty. Am I leaving something out?
No, it's very thorough.
Okay. Let's see. All righty. So let me go back and share my screen here. And again, I'm going to click on here because that is what expands this tab over here. All righty. All right. So let's go under reports. All right. So again, under here, we have different folders, but there's a Laugh Clinic folder right there, okay? So when they're creating their treatment plans or lesson plans or discharge reports or whatever, it's going to appear here. Again, you can drag and pull into your Laugh Clinic folder. It will allow you to do that, okay? All right, and again, I'm gonna go into a mock treatment plan. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, do this here. You can give your feedback, corrections, updates, revisions. So the way to do that, okay, of course you can comment like I mentioned earlier, but you need to turn on your track changes button, okay? You can turn it off and on. If I turn it on, that's gonna give me access to be able to type in here in green, make comments. If I didn't like something, I need it to be marked out, I can do that. But you have to turn on that track changes button in order for that to happen in the green, okay? Same scenario, if you want to say something about something, a comment, and you want to link it to it, comment and put it over there, okay? I have found, and Michigan can probably found out this, that's been the best way to kind of
Mhm.
track
Yes.
information, okay? Because then you're able to go back and look, and then they can comment back and forth with you as well, okay? All right, so I'm gonna get out of that. So again, treatment plans, lesson plans, diagnostic reports, everything is going to fall underneath that, and then you can just drag it into the Laugh Clinic folder, okay? All right, so let me exit out of here. Forms, I think that's just another avenue where you can go back and look at Clinic for the forms or templates. Not really used much, but it's there. Contact notes, you can always click on here if you've talked to a parent and you want to document that conversation, which is really good to do. You can go in that tab and you can document there the conversation for good documentation. Billing, you don't have to worry about that, so we're not doing that portion there. And then of course the portal, like I mentioned earlier, you can go here. Those forms are still waiting to be completed by that parent. And let's say they're like, oh, my email address, I didn't get it. You can always resend it back to them and let them, go back through it and set it up. Once it's there, it's gonna land right here and you'll be able to see it. I believe it also lands in their file folder too, under here, and then you can drag them up in there, those consent forms, okay? And then of course, move to inactive, that wouldn't apply there, okay? Let me just open up new notes. Okay, so that is another, once you've completed that baseline SOAP and now your treatment plan has been approved, you're no longer going to work in the baseline SOAP note anymore. Okay, at this point, you're going to move into a new note. So let me get there. Let me stop my share and let me show you what that looks like. Okay, all right. So on the main dashboard, because I would show you, but it's gonna show next. There's new client, new note, and there's contact notes, okay? You're gonna click on that middle button that says new note. That's where the student is gonna click on, okay? Let me show you what that looks like. There's so many different features. I feel like I may be leaving out something because I just thought of another one that I'm gonna show you in just a second as far as those goals, where they are, okay? All right, so new notes, okay? It looks different from the baseline SOAP note because they're not in that PDF or Word doc type form anymore, okay? Again, you can click on your track changes, okay? You can click on comments here, and you can add a comment. If you look here, the date, the time, make sure that's correct. The diagnosis code, you want to put that there for the client, so you'll change that. You can add new DX code, just drop down box here, whatever pertains to that client. You can also add in the CPT code here, okay? So you wanna make sure that's there. Under here, this is where you will have your client's goals. So right here, of course, these are just test client goals here. The previous plan, so it's gonna show whatever the therapist put before, whether it was continue to work on or whatever it was, it's going to appear from the previous note. You have the subjective part, which is here. Down here, you have the goals, okay? So the goals are gonna fall here with the value box. This is where they'll put, maybe they did it with 50%. And then here they'll put their, Johnny produced R in the initial position with 50% accuracy. That's where you will put that there, okay? Clinic Note is really good because it tells you the previous value of that goal from the previous section or session, which is really nice as well, okay? So you'll put that there. And it's very important that whatever value you put in, if it's a whole number at the beginning, they need to stick with a whole number. If you do a 0.5 or something like that, you're gonna have to stick with points or decimals the entire semester, because if you change it, it's going to mess up your progress report when those graphs are on your progress report. I suggest that you use whole numbers here. Don't use any points, 0.2, just 50%, 20%, whatever it is, okay? Come on down through here. Objectives, you have your assessment part down here. So this is where they will click on whatever goal they were working on. And this is where they'll do more of the description and describing and so forth. They can combine them and they can put them all in one box, or they can be separated per goal. You're familiar with this, so I'll just kind of will briefly go through there and then plan for the next session, homework based, whatever homework they're doing, or any additional comments. And again, you'll come down here. The student should have already signed, and you will put your signature here and sign off, okay? And of course, when you are navigating back and forth with that student, you can submit to them this way. Click on their name, to whoever you're sending it to, all right? Same thing for them. And that's how you know that, and it goes back to their board. And of course, that will appear on your to-do list once the client, or I'm sorry, once the student has sent it back to you. Am I leaving something out with that part?
No.
Okay. So let's go to the progress report, okay? Because it's very important, as they're going throughout the semester, that they're putting their values in, that they're keeping up with that, okay? Because what's happening is it's charting their progress. So when it gets down to progress report time, this is what they're gonna see, okay? So let's go stop the share and let's go to their progress report. Hopefully, I don't know if this is gonna really come up the way I want it to, but let me generate a progress report. So let me share my screen. May not come like we want it to because this is a test client. But here's the progress report. You're familiar with the same scenario with your revisions. Okay, here's some graphs. So you can see those graphs there. That came because that was throughout the semester we've been using New Note. And as we're using New Note, it's constantly graphing every time that they chart it. So when progress report time comes, it's already there as a visual for parents and for students as they're explaining their progress reports. Okay, so it's really nice to really keep good track on that. And I believe there should be a button, which I don't see it here, but it's usually like a refresh button. It's typically there. I don't see it because it will refresh the charts like as you're going through there, but I don't see it here. Okay. But that's where that's the reason those charts are very important, okay? But let me go to manage client goals, okay? Because those goals have to get on that new report, the new note. How did they get there? How did they populate there? So you can decide as a supervisor if you want to put those goals in or if you want the student. Normally, the supervisor will go ahead and put them in just because to keep down on confusion and how to navigate through there. So let me just show you that feature there, okay? So I'm gonna stop my share here. And I'm gonna go to Manage Client Goals. Again, that is on your main dashboard, okay? All right. Manage client goal, you can see it right there in orange. I'm gonna go there, okay? All right, so you're going to create your goals. You've come up with your goals. Your treatment plan is completed or whatever. And now it's time to put these goals in so that when the student gets ready to work on the new note, they're going to be populated over there for them. Okay. So I'm going to add a new goal. Let's say it's today. I'm just going to put some blur right there. Right. All right. And let's say that's my long-term goal. All righty. So I'm going to put here, it says objective section chart title is optional. I tend to go ahead and just go ahead and click it, and I don't usually change it. You can change the title. So if you want to put, expressive language or receptive, but I tend to just let it populate and let it just stay the same. Okay. So I'm going to click save. All right. And there's that goal right there, that long-term goal. See that I created. Now I'm going to put the short-term goal for that goal. So I'm going to go add new goal again. I'm going to put short-term goal just to put it. All right. And I'm going to attach it to that long-term goal that I just created. It has to attach to it, right? And then again, I always click that. I don't know why. I just do. It just comes out right. Okay. So once I do that, see, there's the long-term goal. There's the short-term goal. It is attached. So you'll continuously do that. And very important. Okay. Quantitative data fields. Okay. So this particular one here is just where, let's see, where's the one we just did? I think it's down here. Okay. So down here, you can see the goals that were created. It just shows that these goals are connected, okay, and they're together, and that's our tracker, okay, because if I click on this chart here, which is not necessary, but if you click on it, it will show you the progress. If I can just kind of click on it in a normal client, a regular client, it will show you the progress, okay. Is that right, Nicole?
Yes.
I think, okay.
That's right.
So you have to have, that's the reason I always tell you to make sure that when you're setting up those goals, okay, that you, let me go back here. Test client, add a new goal, okay? Very important that you go ahead and click here, use as a goal title. Make sure you add that on there because I believe that is what keeps those goals, your long-term goal and your short-term goal connected. Okay, I may be wrong. And then the quantitative data fields, you can see how there's the tracker name, there's the related goal. See how they're attached there? They're connected because I connected it when I am the front end. It must be that way because then it won't be able to track it throughout the semester. Okay. All right. So that's that part there with managing your clients' goals. Got to set those in there. And then at the end of the semester, when it's all over, you're going to come back in here and you need to indicate whether or not that goal was met or not met. Okay. So you can come in here and you indicate met or not met with the date that it was assigned, which will automatically be there, and the date that it was met or not met. And that's to ensure that the next supervisor or the next semester, they can go in, they'll be able to see it, and then it won't populate on that new note that they create. So that's very essential that you do that at the end of every semester. Okay. All righty. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we are missing with that, the main thing. Another feature that we've been using is appointment reminder. May not be necessary for the summer, but, and it's already turned on. So actually, you won't have to do that, but if you schedule your clients correctly in the scheduler, they are automatically going to receive a notice to their email 1 day and 2 days prior to their appointment time. Okay, so that's the reason why it's very important that you schedule them correctly in that calendar because you don't want a parent getting a reminder for Saturday or Sunday or something or midnight. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Let's see if there's any. I'm going to stop my share here, and I'm going to show you where you can go. If in doubt, for any information, if you're not sure about something, where you can go. Okay, so on your dashboard, there is. Oh, let me go back. I'm sorry. Let me go back to view client list really quickly, and let me show you our file folders. One more. There's so many features, you all. So sorry if I have to go back. Under files here, let me just kind of briefly go over these. So outside evaluations, they can be uploaded here. So if you received a report from the parent can also, using that portal, they can actually send you their outside reports through the portal.
Mhm.
Okay. And you can click on portal next to their name and it's going to appear under that folder. Okay. You can do that. Consent folders. We've talked about that. Testing protocol. So if you guys do any type of testing, we usually house our original, I'm sorry, not the original. We usually have the students to scan their protocols in here. So the areas that they worked on, whether it's the front page or whatever, wherever they documented, we want that scanned in this folder. Okay, they can upload it here. That's just so the next clinician, therapist can go back and look at it and it's available. Okay. This folder was created here, previous progress treatment reports that was created in the past prior to 2020. Case history forms are there, data collection sheet. So now we're asking students at the end of each week to scan your data collection sheets here under this button. They have access to that, scan it there so you can go back, you can look at their data to make sure you're getting accurate information. Language samples here, audit forms, that I'm not sure if you guys audit at the end, may not apply, but we used to put audit forms there. Again, there's a lab clinic button here. So really and truly, it's there. You all can put whatever you want in that lab clinic button underneath that folder. But there are other tabs there for like testing protocols. So you can just kind of do that however you guys want to do it. But there is a lab clinic folder if there's something you want to put there. And then the hearing screening forms. Unfortunately, I'm not able to delete per client. So whatever folder is created for one client is created for the entire Clinic Note family. Okay, so it's not going to be just for one. So please do not delete any folders, because if you delete a folder, it's going to delete everybody in the clinic's folders. Okay, so never delete any folders over there. I almost thought I did. Okay, so let me show you really quickly again where to go if in doubt and you need help. Okay, Clinic Note is great with contacting you back immediately. They're just really good at that. Okay, so on your dashboard, there's view admin. No, sorry, there's the Clinic Note help button. Clinic Note help button. Let me show you that right there. Okay, go under the Clinic Note help button there. You can put in a support ticket if you need help with something. Fill that out. They're really quick about it and they'll get right back with you. Okay. Also, under here, if you're having difficulty, like, oh, I can't remember this or how to add a goal or something, or I can't remember how to schedule, go right under here. It will show you exactly what to do. Okay. So let's say you were having difficulty with, adding a new client. Okay. There's the instructions there. Okay. They used to have like a video. I don't see that anymore. It used to, you remember that? They actually had a
Yeah.
video for each section, but I don't see that there. But again, it's right there. You can read through there and it's very specific about what it is. So in doubt of anything, just go to that help button and it's there for you. Okay. The other thing is your patient feedback, I'm sorry, your supervisor feedback forms. Dr. Watson will house them for you, but those are going to be now kept in a locked cabinet in the copier room in a filing cabinet. So at the end of the summer, make sure that you collect all of your feedback forms And those will be given over to Dr. Watson so that she can file those away. All right. Is there anything else that I did not cover in terms of clinic notes, documentation?
Mhm.
Or we're keeping that. I don't know. Another thing that we are doing, if you want to explain just briefly, I don't know how you guys want to do this in terms of goal setting.
Oh, yes. Okay. So we're going to start doing goal setting with the graduate clinicians at the beginning of the semester so they can set a personal slash professional goal for themselves, and they'll write it in a smart format, and then they'll write their action steps on how to meet that, and then you would guide them through that process on how to do that, and we will have a template for it when you guys start next week. I don't have it to share yet, but we will have a template for that. And so when you meet at midterm, and then also when you meet at final, you're going to revisit that goal and see to make sure that they are working towards meeting that goal and actually taking those steps to be responsible to meet that professional goal. And we'll send them, I'll share with you guys too, when you start an email of a link that they can use and that you guys can use also to give them ideas on actually how to write that goal. So I think that's it.
Okay, let me mention one other thing, and I may be moving ahead of the game. Q Global, Q Global is the online web-based assessments that we're using as well. So with the Q Global, I know you guys probably used it before. There are passwords. So we have the PPVT, the EVT, the Self 5, and the Goldman Fristo. So those four are in Q Global. There are passwords for that. So if Dr. Watson needs those passwords, I can definitely give that to her. We also have the Live Binder. I think right now it's expired, but that is a great source of information in there, digital information, all of that's in there too. And so I think she can give you a link for Live Binder in there. And then let's see if there's anything else. I think that's everything that we've covered. There's a lot of information. But if you have any questions or anything of that sort, we're all in here together. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to help you navigate through there. Okay. I think that's it. If Ms. Jenkins doesn't have anything else today, that will be then. Thank you.